Deputy Clare Daly, 30 seconds to introduce.
Minister, I'm inquiring as to the status of the 5 Section 42 statutory inquiries which were initiated following the internal review mechanism into some pretty serious incidents in the past, involving 4 of the inquiries related to tragic deaths. I believe 3 of the inquiries have been concluded. One of them, the person has withdrawn from it, and the other one seems to be in some la-la land or something else. So I'm wondering what the status of these inquiries is presently.
Deputy, for the question. While the inquiries were formally established back on the 15th of May 17, in practice it took some time to have them equipped to be fully operational. A retired judge was appointed to conduct each of these inquiries, and the orders establishing the inquiries prescribe that on the conclusion the report will be submitted to me. 2 of these inquiries have concluded and the reports have been furnished to me. Both of these involve tragic fatalities, and the families have each been seeking answers for what they believe were failures by the authorities regarding the circumstances. I want once again ask Clare to reiterate my condolences to the families for their loss. In each case, I sought the advice of the Attorney-General regarding the publication of the reports. I am advised that any potential breach of individual privacy rights or adverse comments about any party should of course be avoided where possible. Therefore, I arranged for anonymised versions of the reports to be provided to the families, published on the website of the Department of Justice. This was done before Christmas. The central findings of the reports were clear. Each report identifies issues which require a response from An Garda Síochána in order that the families can have as complete a picture as possible of the circumstances of the death of their loved ones. I think everybody will agree that that's the very least that they deserve. Therefore, on receipt of the reports, I wrote to the Garda Commissioner regarding the issues raised in each of the reports. Where the judges identified failings by An Garda Síochána, I have asked the Garda Commissioner to consider these and to notify me of what actions he proposes to take in the light of these findings. When I receive the Commissioner's reply, I will decide whether any further action is appropriate. I would, of course, be in further contact with the families in this regard.
Thanks, Chair. Well, actually, the third one is complete, Minister. I believe the judge is simply writing up the report on the third one. But in the 3 cases that are complete, the families involved got to meet the judges before the case started. Their legal teams met the inquiries, and every day they got a transcript of the proceedings on each day, and the Gardaí and the DPP, I think, were present with a legal team so that they could interact with the judges. And yet, in the case of Shane Toohey, your former constituent, and his family, who are constituents of yours, the judge won't meet the family, won't meet their solicitor, and won't have any contact with them at all. He meets on his own. Transcripts are not provided, and the Gardaí, nor anybody else, nor indeed the Toohey family solicitor, is allowed to be present. Their solicitor has sought a copy of the transcript in line with other people's, but again, no reply to that. They know from one person who attended the inquiry that the judge shot that individual down in terms of his testimony because that individual gave information which the judge said contradicted the evidence given by a member of An Garda Síochána in a written report. Minister, this is not adequate. It's not fair or transparent. I think it's time that you would intervene and get a new person on this inquiry.
Well, I don't intend to change the terms of reference of the inquiries, but I have listened carefully to what Deputy Daly has said. And of course, in each of the cases, the terms of reference set by the Attorney-General. They were also the subject of consultation with the policing authority. I will say that in the event of any complainant having a concern, I think it's clear from what Deputy Daly has said to me that one of the individuals involved does appear to have a concern. That concern appears to revolve around the conduct of the inquiry, and I would suggest that such concern be raised in the first instance with the judge conducting the inquiry. I am very conscious, Las Concorda, that these inquiries are independent of me, they're independent of this House, and rightly so. That's reflected in the terms of reference.
Minister, The issues have been consistently raised with the judge in question. In fact, the solicitor hand-delivered a question with 9 serious questions, the biggest one being, why are the family not being provided with the transcript? The judge replied a few days later saying, don't contact me again. That was in last September. Now, you're aware of this because I've actually written to you and received a reply from you regarding these matters. I've raised it in a parliamentary question where you seem to imply, well, the family could seek a judicial review. We're not asking for the terms of reference to be changed. The terms of reference are basically the same for all of them. Now, how can the other 3 judges carry out the inquiries, have the legal teams in, allow the hearings be conducted in public, as it were, produce the transcript at the end of every day, and this judge doesn't? Because the family are asking the question, is it because Judge McDonagh operated in the Tullamore area where Gardaí, who are being called to questions for their action here, are being named and their activities investigated? Is there a conflict of interest? And you can't step by and you can't expect the family to have to take a judicial review at enormous expense over a mechanism that was supposed to be put in place to help them. This is actually causing them further pain and hardship now. So they have written to the judge, they've written to you. Somebody needs to do something. We're not asking for the terms of reference to change. It's patently untransparent and unfair.
1 minute.
Very serious allegations have been made by Deputy Daly in respect of the conduct of this inquiry. I don't believe that it would be appropriate for me to intervene in these ongoing inquiries. There are 5 of them. There are 3 concluded. There are 2 in which an extension of time has been sought. I'm very anxious that all inquiries would be completed as expeditiously as possible. However, I have to say that again, each inquiry, including the one as referred to by Deputy Daly, must be conducted in line with the terms of reference, but must also respect the constitutional and statutory and European Convention on Human Rights norms as regards fair procedures that may be applicable to all such inquiries. I have to say to Deputy Daly that each of the families and individuals central to these inquiries are legally represented. The families themselves are in a position to make representations directly to the judge. The legal advisers that they have are in a position to advise as to the law and again liaise directly with the judge on a regular basis. So I listened carefully to what the Deputy has said, but I am not going to intervene in what is an independent statutory inquiry. And I do believe that there are remedies available in the event of there being the type of grievance that has been referred to.